You've tried the affirmations. You've written the lists. You've visualized your dream life on vision boards until the paper nearly glowed. And yet nothing seems to move. The same patterns keep circling back. The same frustrations echo in your chest. And a quiet question lingers. Am I doing something wrong? The truth is no. You're not failing. You're not broken. You're not missing some hidden step that everyone else figured out. What's happening is much simpler and much more profound. You've been taught to play the outer game of manifestation. While the real shift lives in the inner frequency you carry, most of the world teaches us to chase outcomes, to command the universe like a vending machine, put in the right thoughts, press the right buttons, and wait for reality to drop what you ordered. But this is where so many seekers get stuck. Because reality doesn't respond to what you say. It doesn't respond to what you write down. It doesn't even respond to what you desperately hope for. Reality responds to what you are. And this is where the frustration finally cracks open into possibility. Because if what you are is the signal, then you already hold the dial in your hands. You don't need more force. You don't need more trying. You need understanding. You need attunement. You need to feel the frequency that's shaping your life in this very moment. I want you to imagine for a second that your entire being is like an instrument. Every thought, every feeling, every breath is a vibration resonating into the field around you. If the strings are out of tune, it doesn't matter how beautiful the song is on paper. It won't sound the way you intend. But when the instrument is tuned, even the simplest note becomes music that moves the air. This is why nothing has shifted yet. Not because you lack willpower or discipline or faith, but because you've been trying to play the right notes on an untuned instrument. The good news? The tuning is within your reach. And once you understand this frequency, the entire field of your life begins to rearrange. This is not about effort anymore. It's about resonance. And the moment you see it, you'll never again mistake hustle for creation. We need to pause here and get honest about something most teachers skip. The word frequency gets thrown around everywhere. But what does it really mean? It's easy to imagine it as a vague buzz of positivity or a mystical hum that only monks can access. But the truth is much closer and far more practical. Frequency is simply the state of your nervous system. The emotional atmosphere you live in, the felt sense of safety or fear that radiates through your body. Think of it this way. Every cell in your body is an antenna. Every emotion is a signal. When you're in anxiety, when your chest is tight, when your thoughts spiral, your antenna is tuned to survival. That's the channel you're broadcasting. And when you're in openness, when your breath flows, when your shoulders drop and your heart softens, you're tuned to coherence. That's the channel that magnetizes creation. This is not woo, it's biology. It's resonance. It's the invisible field you carry with you everywhere you go. Here's the mistake almost everyone makes. We try to think our way into a new life. We repeat affirmations while our body is still bracing for rejection. We visualize while our stomach clenches with doubt. We script new realities while our nervous system whispers, "It's not safe yet." The conscious mind may be dreaming of expansion, but the subconscious body is broadcasting contraction. And the field always mirrors the broadcast, not the dream. That's why it feels like you're pushing against an invisible wall. Because on one level, you're saying yes, but on another, you're vibrating no. And the quantum field cannot be fooled by words. It listens only to coherence, to wholeness, to the frequency that runs deeper than thought. So, when we talk about the invisible frequency, what we're really talking about is your being state. Not what you think, but what you are. Imagine someone who constantly says, "I am abundant," yet their body tightens every time a bill arrives. The words are surface waves. The tightening is the signal. And the field reflects the signal every single time. This can sound discouraging at first, but here's the reframe. It means you don't have to memorize endless rituals or keep repeating phrases until your jaw aches. You only need to learn how to tune. The invisible frequency is not controlled by effort, it's revealed through awareness. It's the moment you notice, "My body is bracing." It's the breath you take to soften. It's the decision to drop the war inside and choose coherence instead. Ask yourself, right now, what frequency am I actually living in? Is it urgency, doubt, grasping? Or is it openness, presence, trust? This one simple awareness is more powerful than hours of affirmations. Because the moment you see the frequency, you are no longer trapped inside it. You've begun to tune, and this is why so few people talk about it. Because it's not glamorous. It's not quick fix advice. It's not the kind of hack that makes for easy marketing. It requires slowing down, feeling your body, listening to your nervous system, and daring to be radically honest with yourself. But that's also why it works. Because while most of the world is spinning in mental gymnastics, you'll be standing in stillness, radiating coherence. Remember this, frequency is not something you chase, it's something you embody. You don't need to force it. You don't need to fake it. You simply need to understand it. And when you do, reality no longer feels like a stubborn wall you're banging against. It becomes a mirror, faithfully reflecting the vibration you've chosen to live in. The invisible frequency is the missing piece, the part you've felt but couldn't name. And once you recognize it, you realize you've never been blocked. You've only been tuned to the wrong channel. Picture yourself standing in front of a mirror. If you smile, the reflection smiles back. If you frown, the reflection frowns. The mirror has no bias, no agenda, no judgment. It simply reflects what stands before it. This is the simplest way to understand the quantum field. It is not a machine waiting for the right code or a cosmic bank waiting for deposits of affirmations. It is a mirror vast, responsive, and utterly neutral. What you broadcast is what it reflects. Not what you want. Not what you beg for. Not even what you consciously think about for a few minutes a day. What you embody in your state, day in and day out, becomes the reflection you see in your life. Science gives us metaphors for this. In physics, a tuning fork struck in one room will cause another fork of the same pitch to vibrate across the space, resonance, coherence, energy-seeking alignment. The quantum field works the same way. It doesn't hear your words. It resonates with your frequency. That's why some people can say nothing and attract everything, while others chant mantras until they are hoarse and see no change. It isn't about the effort, it's about the signal. You cannot trick the field. You cannot manipulate it with pretty sentences pasted over fear. The mirror only reflects. Think of every thought as a pebble dropped into a lake. Ripples spread outward. But if the water is turbulent, full of survival fear, bracing, doubt, the ripples become distorted, chaotic. The signal is unclear. Yet when the water is calm, still, coherent, the ripples travel clean and wide. That is the power of inner alignment. It doesn't matter what picture you place on a vision board if your inner waters are storming. The field can only reflect the turbulence, and this explains so much of the frustration people carry. They believe they are doing the steps right. They visualize, they affirm, they practice gratitude lists. But if underneath it all, the nervous system is whispering, the mirror reflects the fear behind the words. But here's the empowering secret. The mirror is not against you. It has never once betrayed you. It has only been faithful, painfully faithful in reflecting the vibration you are holding. Which means the moment you shift your state, the reflection must follow. Not maybe. Not someday. The mirror doesn't hesitate. Change your frequency. And reality has no choice but to respond. This is why the quantum field feels so mysterious and magical. It's not magic in the sense of being illogical. It's magic because it is profoundly simple. Too simple for the mind that craves steps and effort. Too subtle for the ego that wants control. But when you experience it, when you finally soften enough to feel it, you see the truth. It was never about chasing outcomes. It was about becoming the signal that allows them. Now, let's stretch this even further. Quantum physics tells us that particles don't exist in fixed states until they are observed. They exist in probabilities, in waves of possibility. The act of observation collapses the wave into one outcome. When your body is broadcasting fear, the probabilities collapse into fearful outcomes. When your body is broadcasting coherence, the probabilities collapse into harmonious outcomes. The observer effect isn't just a scientific curiosity, it's a mirror for how the field is not just reflecting, you are the one choosing which reflection becomes solid by the frequency you embody. Your focus is the gaze. Your nervous system is the tone. Your identity is the tuning fork. The mirror reflects faithfully, but you are the one standing before it, choosing what to project. So pause for a moment. Ask yourself, if reality is my mirror, what reflection have I been unconsciously rehearsing? Is it scarcity, where I secretly expect things to fall apart? Is it loneliness, where I unconsciously brace for rejection? Is it exhaustion, where I assume nothing comes without struggle? Whatever it is, the field has only been showing you what you broadcast. And this isn't punishment, it's invitation. Invitation to shift the signal, so the mirror shifts too. The mirror never lies. And that is the most compassionate truth you could ever hear, because it means the power has always been in you. Not in a vision board, not in a script, not in a distant cosmic lottery. The field is not separate from you, it is you. Your frequency reflected back in form. Once you see life this way, chasing loses its appeal. You no longer beg the mirror for a smile. You simply smile, and the reflection follows. You embody abundance, and the reflection arranges. You embody love, and the reflection responds. Effort turns to resonance. Struggle turns to simplicity. And reality at last begins to shift. If the quantum field is a mirror, then trauma is the smudge on the glass that keeps distorting the reflection. Not because the mirror is broken, not because you are broken, but because unhealed imprints in the body send out signals you don't even realize you're broadcasting. Trauma is not just about the painful events that happened to you. It's about what happened inside you in response. It's the way your nervous system adapted, the way your body learned to brace, the way your subconscious vowed, never again. Picture your nervous system as a radio tower. Every moment, it's transmitting. But trauma programs the tower to send out emergency signals even long after the danger is gone. That's why someone can consciously want love, yet their body is still broadcasting. People aren't safe. They can crave abundance, while their cells are still whispering, the rug will be pulled out from under me. They can long for freedom, while their muscles stay clenched in patterns of survival. This is why affirmations and vision boards often fall flat. You can plaster words of safety and success over your walls. But if your inner broadcast is still panic, the field will mirror panic. If your body is still bracing for impact, the mirror will reflect circumstances that confirm that bracing. Not to punish you, but because the field has no choice. It is faithful. Trauma lives in the body, not the mind. It shows up in the shallow breath you didn't notice you were holding, in the shoulders that never fully drop, in the racing thoughts you've learned to normalize, in the way you flinch at good news because part of you expects it to vanish. These are not just bad habits, they are frequencies. They are broadcasts. And they are powerful enough to shape entire timelines. Think of trauma as background music. You may be having a conversation, going about your day, even planning your dreams. But underneath it all, the music is still playing. A low hum of fear, shame, or distrust. And the quantum field, like a perfect mirror, reflects not the words of your conversation, but the music you don't even realize is playing. This can sound heavy, but it's also liberating, because once you see the pattern, you can shift it. Trauma does not have to be a life sentence. It is simply unprocessed energy asking to be witnessed, integrated, and released. The body is not your enemy, it's your compass. Every trigger, every moment of tension, every wave of fear is simply your nervous system saying, here, this is the place that needs safety. This is the frequency that's been broadcasting unnoticed. Healing, then, is not about erasing the past. It's about giving your body a new signal to trust. It's about letting your nervous system learn that it is safe now, that the event is over, that you no longer need to broadcast emergency frequencies. And when your body learns safety, your field shifts without effort. Safety itself is magnetic. Coherence itself is attractive. This is why people who regulate their nervous systems begin to see. Synchronicities flood their lives. It's not that the universe suddenly likes them better. It's that their broadcast is finally clear enough for the mirror to reflect back harmony instead of chaos. It's that they've stopped unconsciously transmitting static. And now the field can tune to their true desire. Let's get real. Most of the blocks you faced aren't laziness or lack of discipline. They're trauma patterns. They're nervous system loops that say, don't expand. It's not safe. Don't shine. You'll get hurt. Don't relax. Something bad will happen. And until those loops are seen, felt, and released, no amount of mental work will override them. But here's the good news. The moment you bring compassion to the body, the broadcast begins to change. Trauma thrives in silence and shame. It dissolves in presence and love. You don't need to fight it. You don't need to conquer it, to only need to listen, to feel, and to reteach your body that it is safe to soften again. Ask yourself, what signal has my body been sending without my permission? Is it fear of rejection? Fear of loss? Fear of being seen? Once you name it, you've already begun to reclaim it. Awareness itself is the first retuning, and this is where your power lies. Because trauma left unhealed will keep your broadcast fractured. But trauma, met with compassion, becomes the very doorway into coherence. The wound becomes the opening. The trigger becomes the teacher. The body becomes not a betrayer, but a bridge. When you start to feel this truth knot, just know it mentally, but feel it somatically. You'll notice something profound. Life no longer feels like a punishment or a struggle. It begins to feel like feedback. A gentle mirror showing you where your body is still holding on and where it's ready to release. The broadcast is always yours to shift. Not by force, but by presence. Not by faking, but by feeling. And as you begin to clear those old trauma frequencies, the mirror clears with you. Life reflects back your freedom. Opportunities, relationships, abundance, they begin to arrive, not because you've finally worked hard enough, but because your signal is finally aligned. And so the deepest truth is this: you are not broken. You have never been broken. You've only been broadcasting the echoes of a body that was trying to protect you. And now, at last, you can thank it, release it, and choose a new song for the mirror to reflect. Coherence is not something you force. It is not a discipline you grit your teeth through, and it is not another task to check off a spiritual to-do list. Coherence is what happens when the parts of you finally stop fighting each other. When the mind, the body, and the heart are no longer sending mixed signals into the field, but are singing the same song. And that harmony, once felt, is unmistakable. Think of coherence like an orchestra tuning before a concert. At first, the sounds clash, violins screech against brass, flutes stumble over cellos. Each instrument is doing its best, but the lack of alignment creates noise instead of music. Then there is a moment. The conductor lifts their hand. Instruments find the same pitch, and suddenly what was chaos becomes harmony. The air itself changes. The audience straightens. The room feels different. This is coherence. And your body is capable of it too, so how do we find it? Not through control, but through allowing. The mind loves to chase, to fix, to micromanage, but the heart field does not bloom through effort. It blooms through presence. Imagine a flower you cannot pry it open with your fingers without destroying it. But when you give it sunlight, water, and space, it unfolds on its own. That unfolding is coherence. One of the simplest doorways into coherence is the breath. Not the shallow breath that only skims the chest, but the deeper, slower rhythm that tells your nervous system, you are safe now. You can rest. You can open. Try this now. Even as you listen, inhale slowly through your nose. Feel the air move all the way down into your belly. Then exhale longer than your inhale, as if you're sighing relief into your own body. With each cycle, the body hears, it's safe to soften. It's safe to align from here. The mind follows. Thoughts quiet not because you silence them with force, but because the body has shifted into a different frequency. This is the beauty of coherence. It's contagious inside of you. Safety breeds clarity. Clarity breeds openness. Openness breeds flow. And that flow is exactly what the quantum field responds to. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman who spent years trying to manifest financial abundance. She scripted every night. She visualized with intensity. She repeated affirmations until her throat was raw. But the more she tried, the more money slipped away. One day, exhausted, she simply gave up. She went for a walk, let the sun touch her skin, and for the first time in years, she didn't think about money. She just breathed. She just existed. And 2 days later, an unexpected opportunity arrived that changed everything. It wasn't that the universe was waiting to reward her surrender. It was that the moment she released control, her field stopped broadcasting panic. Her nervous system shifted out of survival mode. She stopped sending out lack as her signal, and coherence finally had room to rise. That's the paradox. When you stop clawing at what you want, you become the energy that attracts it. Coherence is not an escape from life, it's an embodied return to it. It's choosing presence instead of projection. It's allowing your nervous system to feel anchored in this moment, rather than chasing the next. And in that anchored state, the field mirrors back stability, flow, and opportunities that match your inner harmony. Here's the invitation. Pause more often. Feel your feet on the ground. Place a hand on your chest and sense the rhythm there. Notice the difference between thoughts that tighten your body and thoughts that soften it. Choose the softer ones. Not because you're bypassing reality, but because you're aligning with truth. The truth is, you are safest when you are most present. And the safest signal you can send the universe is coherence. What happens when you begin to live this way? Your relationships shift. People respond to you differently because they feel your steadiness. Decisions feel clearer because you're no longer making them from fight or flight. Opportunities unfold with less resistance because your field is broadcasting safety instead of scarcity. And perhaps most importantly, you begin to feel at home in your own body. For many of us, that alone is the miracle. So, coherence is not some lofty, abstract state reserved for mystics. It's a practice of tuning again and again, gently, compassionately. Every time you breathe deeper, every time you soften instead of brace, every time you choose presence over panic, you are tuning the instrument of your being. And the field, faithful as ever, will mirror back the harmony you're learning to embody. And maybe this is the deeper secret. Coherence isn't about becoming something new. It's about remembering the natural rhythm you were born with. Before the fear, before the conditioning, before the trauma, you were already coherent. Your heartbeat, your breath, your presence, they were already in sync. What you're really doing is returning. Returning to that simple, powerful state where you don't need to chase, because you already are. The path to coherence is not about fixing yourself. It's about meeting yourself. It's about listening deeply enough that your body can finally exhale, your heart can finally open, and your field can finally broadcast the frequency that has been waiting. Underneath all along, stories carry a kind of medicine. They bypass the rational defenses of the mind and go straight into the heart, whispering, "See." This is possible for you too. And when we witness others step into coherence, something awakens inside us. Our cells lean forward, our nervous system listens differently. We realize we are not alone in this field of becoming. Let me share with you the first story. There was a man who had struggled with love his entire life. He carried the imprint of rejection from childhood. And no matter how many affirmations he spoke about being worthy of love, relationships dissolved again and again. One day, instead of repeating more phrases into the mirror, he sat with his body. He noticed the tightness in his chest, the way he always braced for abandonment even before it happened. Slowly, he began a daily practice of softening into his breath, placing his hand over his heart and whispering to himself, "It's safe to stay open." Within months, he met someone. Not because he forced it, not because he visualized her into existence, but because his field finally shifted. He was no longer broadcasting fear of rejection. He was broadcasting availability, openness, coherence, and she felt it. Love did not arrive as a prize. It arrived as a reflection. Another story. A woman I'll call Sarah had been hustling for years, trying to manifest wealth. She took course after course, repeated affirmations, created endless vision boards. But the more she tried, the more anxious she felt. She was exhausted. Her body was breaking down, and still the money didn't flow. One evening, she surrendered. She put down the books, turned off the podcasts, and simply lay on the floor, feeling her breath. For the first time, she asked, "What if abundance isn't out there? What if it begins in here?"